Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is VIN 1146, and this is a 2016 1J2, which is liquid platinum or sonic silver in other markets, with the LA30 interior, which is a red interior. Now, this popped up on Facebook Marketplace for $55,000 with about 62,000 miles. One owner, no accident, advertised as having paint protection film, wireless Android Auto, and Apple CarPlay already installed. So let's dive into it and see what else we can find out about it. First and foremost, production statistics. 153 cars were made in liquid platinum for the US 49. That's it. 153 cars. Of those 153, only 49 had the red interior, and specific to 2016, 116 out of the 1,417 cars were liquid platinum. Of those 116, only 36 had red interior. So this is definitely on the rarer side of combos, but not exceptionally rare. You know, this isn't like a 1 of 8, 1 of 1, 1 of 2, whatever. But still, there's only 36 examples that exist like this in this color combo. So still pretty rare car. Carfax, Epic VIN, and Auto Trader. So Carfax shows this as a one owner, no accident car. Epic VIN shows this as a two owner, no accident car. And Epic VIN sometimes over reports owners. Like sometimes if you move it to a new location, which looks like that's what happened here, it reports it as another owner. So I still think it's a one owner. AutoCheck shows it as a one owner, zero accident car. So I think it's safe to say this is definitely one of the good ones to start with. One owner, no accidents. Just from all of my research, there are less than 10% of these cars that are clean title, one owner, no accident cars. So this is a pretty rare find to find something like this. And it looks like it's priced pretty fairly too, and we'll get into that here in a bit as well. Previous sales, it first went on sale in April of 2016 in North Carolina for $87,000. It was still for sale 6 months later, still at the same dealer in October of 2016, and it looks like it finally sold in December of 2017. So you're talking about this car sitting around for sale for 8 months, which is pretty typical of what you saw with these cars when they were new. Very expensive when they were new. They did not sell well, mainly because of the price. If they were priced in the mid to upper 60s, they probably would have sold 3 or 4 times as many of these cars. But 8 months for sale, first owner, still the current owner, so they've owned it since December of 2017. And now, of course, it pops up in August of 2025 here for $55,000 with 62,000 miles, and man, does it look clean. So speaking of clean, let's look at the pictures. So the owner said in the listing description that it has full paint protection film. I don't know if that just means it's the front clip or if it's full body, but no matter what, they're pretty high quality pictures, and there's several pictures that he shared, and I mean, it looks flawless. The paint protection film is definitely doing its job. However, that said, a couple things you should note with paint protection film: 7 to 10 years is kind of the maximum amount of time you want to leave it on there. So if this is something that you're looking at purchasing, I would recommend probably getting that replaced before it's too late. And when I say when it gets too late, it can get cracked and yellow and things like that, and it can actually damage the paint if it's left on there too long. But otherwise, it can be just a pain to remove. So that's something I would definitely look at doing on this car, but it's great that the paint's basically brand new underneath. So good on them for doing that. The carbon fiber trim, I don't see any issues there either. Like it looks like it's all in perfect shape. I don't see any starting signs of carbon fiber delamination, anything like that. I'm really reaching here, but maybe the center console armrest, which is a pretty common wear point, and they're about $600 to replace on these cars. You know, it could use some replacement or maybe just a good cleaning. It's hard to tell from the photos there, but you know, that's not uncommon to see on these cars. People lift and push to try to reposition or get in and out of the car, or they just leave their elbow there when they're driving. So that is something there, but everything else, the seat bolsters, the interior, I don't see any scratches. I mean, it's phenomenally clean. And so if this is one that you are considering, I don't see any red flags whatsoever. You know, possibly maybe it being in the DC, Virginia area, if it was winter driven, you know, maybe look underneath, see how bad, if any, if it was driven in the winter. You know, that would be something that I would inspect, and it wouldn't take much to do so. So pricing for this car, $55,000. So I've already done all of my homework on where the market is, and you guys are well aware of this. This car is pretty much spot on with where it needs to be priced. $55,000 for this kind of mileage in this market. You can see the charts. It has the COVID bump, goes back down, and then last summer, June, July of 2024 is when these started going back up, and they're continuing to go up. And this is, again, it's another data point, but it's also spot on for where it should be. And so it's also one of the one owner, clean title, no accident cars. So there are so few of those left, and this is one of those. So the only thing left to look at would be the service history. So let's look at that real quick, and then we'll make some decisions here. So it does look very well serviced at the dealer. So the owner says in the ad that this car is Lexus serviced, and it's pretty apparent here. So things of note, August of 17, it's making a pinging noise for the driver's door when you close it. And I'm pretty sure that's the door check. It's just, that's how they described it. Basically, when you open the door about halfway, you'd hear a pop or a ping, like it said there. And it was a pretty common issue to see on these cars, especially on the 16s and 17s. I don't know if they updated the part, but I do see some of the older or some of the newer models have that issue as well. Not a big deal, not a hard replacement, and it was already done on this car. May of 2018, the JLB recall was done, so that's the high pressure fuel pumps. Good to see that's done. Also stated that the windshield molding looks like it's warped, but it wasn't replaced. I don't know if they're talking about the pieces right here. Next service, October of 2018, they reported a rattling noise, and then the dealer did an ECM reprogram. What that probably is, and they usually define it, but they didn't here, it's probably the low pressure fuel pump that got reprogrammed, that it kind of has a humming or a buzzing type of noise when they act up, and the reprogramming resolves that. And so that's probably the case of what they did here, but I'm not 100% sure. All I have to go on is what's on the service history listed here. Last service was July of 2025. Otherwise, it's just the usual oil changes, brakes, tires, things that you would normally see. So it looks like a couple of the common issues have already been addressed, and the things that I don't see are the ZLZ, which is the dash, the carbon fiber trim, anything like that. None of that has been reported replaced at the dealer. Now, that's not saying it hasn't been done before, but it looks perfect in the photos. So if it is original, if you're gonna take it to a cold climate and drive it that way, I would expect to put some money aside for carbon fiber trim replacement. However, right now, it looks fine. I would inspect the valley plate for the coolant leak, of course. It's not if, it's when that happens, and I don't see any evidence of that being done here. So expect to do that in the future. It's heat cycles and time, it's not necessarily mileage. So mileage is almost irrelevant for some of the valley plate leaks. As usual, also check the lower control arm bushings, which means check the front inside of the front tires. Make sure that there's no abnormal wear. If there is, you're on the hook for an alignment, tires, and lower control arm bushings. And finally, would I buy this car? In a heartbeat. It's priced right. It checks all the boxes. It has no issues. It was well protected, so it has paint protection film. I mean, it just, the photos are fantastic. You can really zoom in and tell it's a well taken care of car. It was probably somebody's baby, like a nice day car or something like that, but check to see if it was winter driven. Highly recommend doing a pre-purchase inspection to get a mechanical inspection as always, but this one definitely looks like one of the good ones. There are so few one owner, clean title, no accident cars left. You're talking maybe in the like 150 or so that are left of these cars like this. So this is one of them. The next owner is going to be the second owner, and so now this car disappears off that list. So it's only original once, it's only one owner once, and this is one of them. So highly, highly, highly recommend go checking this one out if that's one you're interested in. But it is definitely one of the good ones as far as what I can see on this end. So that's what I've got for you guys. VIN 1146. Check it out. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you soon.